It could happen. It could. You just never know.
CryptoSLO, cryptocurrency news and investing.
CryptoSLO with more crypto gains. What's going on, guys? Man, I'll tell you what. Driving home, it's got me thinking. It's got me thinking about all this craziness with, the, 19. Stock market gave up its gains. I mean, I knew when it jumped 1,200 points yesterday that it was the suckers rally. So basically what happened was the Fed cut interest rates by a half basis point, putting rates at about, 1.25-ish. Let me get a little closer because my rain. So about 1.25%. So that basically made the market, jump. But it wasn't enough. Today, it gave back most of those gains, down 800-900 points. But, in retrospect of all this, you just have to look. The stock market, look at a normal crypto, right? If you took crypto as a whole as an index fund, it moves more quickly than the stock market. You get your SuperCycles, as we call them. SuperCycles are where you have this massive retracement followed by, the next moonshot after the consolidation. So, the stock market's gone up for 20 years straight. We had that '08 glitch, but, it's a blip. It's just straight gains. Everyone's made, all the boomers are millionaires if they invested in, any type of S&P, Dow, NASDAQ. They killed it. They killed it. Hopefully they sold at the top and moved to an island or something. But that's what brings us to today's topic is, could this massive shift in wealth flow to Bitcoin and flow to crypto? This is a really big question. Basically world events can always reactively accelerate things. If you've been watching the news, they're like, where's the money going? Well, the money's flowing into bonds, so the question is, are these bonds good? Are they going to default on these bonds? If everyone moves their money into bonds, then it's not a good thing, if that's what everyone is doing. As I mentioned in one of my other videos, I moved into bonds at around Dow 28.9-ish, just because I wasn't comfortable with what the markets were doing. It was just insanity. And I knew 30,000 was kind of a psychological barrier for most investors. It's kind of like 30,000, that's crazy. So, if you look at it on a whole, what am I calling for? I'm not being a fudster. I'm just looking at a typical retracement. Now, you could have a full retracement to the mean or just the half. I think I would expect, if you zoom way out on the Dow 30, a 50% retracement. That would make sense. So that puts the Dow at about 15,000. Yeah. So mark that in your calendar. That's what I'm calling. I'm calling Dow 15,000. That's what I think. That's how I think it's headed if, things continue like they're continuing. Now, the question is, could this accelerate the adoption of Bitcoin? Basically, anyone with wealth is going to be like, where can I put my wealth? If the banks don't pay anything and they can lock up funds, the bond markets will be saturated. I would expect that the bonds would actually possibly have a negative return at some point, meaning if you're in bonds, you'll actually lose money. And I think if the federal government's interest rate goes negative, which is possible, those bond markets will be hit. Meaning you may have a minus, let's say the interest rate was minus 0.5%, your bond may have a 0.5% yield, meaning to keep it in that bond, you actually lose money. Think about that. You have to pay for your stable to be in, quote, a stable coin, a stable dollar. Now, a lot of people have that flip side concept, and they're like, well, if the stocks go down, I think crypto's getting hit too. Personally, I don't think so. I mean, that's not what I'm seeing. We've had a 2 years of plus of crypto winner. People have been holding on to those coins. People have held on to the coins at minus 90%. They're not selling, So do I see another crypto crash coming anytime soon? No, I think we could have that dip into that 81.54-ish, which is that CME gap that everyone talks about that it never actually truly filled. I'll do a video on CME gaps. Honestly, I've watched a lot of videos on CME gaps, and a lot of them just leave you scratching your head, and you're like, what the frick are they talking about? It has to just be displayed a little more simply so that the average person can understand it, just because it's kind of a different psychology, different concept of what really it means to have a CME gap. But basically it's related to the fact that CME futures don't trade on the weekends, so you can have gaps up or down, so that creates a hole in the chart basically. And the concept is that just by law of nature, the chart will go to up or down to that spot that was missing from the chart. It's a little easier to do it visually, but I'll do a video on CME gaps. That's a good topic. But do I think Bitcoin could super cycle? And what am I saying by super cycle? On the low end, 100K. On the high end, 1 million. I think anything's possible, because if everyone doesn't have somewhere to put that money, they're going to be looking to alternatives to try to preserve their wealth. I mean, theoretically, you could move a bunch of wealth into a stable coin and park it in the stable coin, if, let's say, the bond market was negative, then you could move into Bitcoin and then move into Tether and basically keep all your wealth in Tether. So there'll be a massive influx, and that could be a result of the bonds going negative. So that's what would screw everybody. That is the way that the government could screw everybody, is if the basis goes negative, they would actually take money away from your stable account. So it's something to think about. I mean, and honestly, the government's got these asinine things about locking your retirement up, and they give you no flexibility. So, they incentivize you to leave it in there and get screwed, basically. But, that's another thing. But, I don't know. I really think a Bitcoin supercycle could be possible. It could be possible. And who knows what's going to happen. But, all I know is I hodl my coins, so I'm not too worried about it. So, hope you enjoyed today's philosophy video. Like and subscribe. And as always, this is CryptoSLO. If you're not talking gains, then we're not talking.